What is up, everybody? Welcome up. Happy Monday, man. Happy weekend. Happy weekend, Sharky. Did you
Happy
leave
Mother's
school
Day
this
to all the
weekend?
moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there for sure. It was a big one, a big one.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
Mama
This is
Gaines'
this is
first
Mama's
Mother's Day.
first Mother's
So
Day, right? So
very
this
happy
is
to
this is
report
yeah.
she had a good Mother's Day. Spent it with the whole fam, actually.
That's great.
So,
I love to hear it.
hopefully all the families out there got to see everybody and all good. Anyways, I'm back, man. I almost
Right, we
missed
heard.
everything today.
We
So
heard
I
your
I
post.
don't know. Anybody else dealing with this Schwab,
Yeah, a lot of I
POS
heard it all on
transition?
Twitter. Some
Oh my
people
god.
were,
What a
and
cluster
on
this
E
morning. I was
Trade
kind of
too.
freaking out. I was like, really?
E
But
Trade as well.
we're all back. Sharky, I think your mic's kind of coming down a little bit. I don't know.
Hold on.
Hopefully we'll get you fixed. Oh, that was my
Actually, I
bad.
don't.
That's on my end. I got you now. But anyways, yeah, they had a different login all of a sudden. So if you have like multiple accounts like me, then just be careful. They might use a different one on you. But other than that, I guess user error. So, anyways, let's get into this, guys. We're starting a little bit late, so let's go ahead and kick it off really quick. It was a pretty slow week last week. I think one of the biggest things we can kind of focus on now is just these last earnings season, and some of the results. Uh, on deck, honestly, it looks pretty light to me in terms of the calendars, but let's go ahead and jump into this. And if you guys are new here, by the way, welcome. Thanks for joining. Sharky, I didn't ping it, but hopefully
I'm doing it now.
oh, nice. You rock, man. Look at you guys. Um, but anyways, it was a super light week last week. And
Oh yeah.
before we even start, what I'll say is that there was a lot of chatter, myself included, about this low volume situation
Right.
that we got last week. And I don't know, Sharky, if you have any commentary on that, but um, you
I
know,
do. Oh, we say your thing too first if you got
well,
something.
no, it's just funny, like, because normally when you look for reversals, right, in the
Right.
market, we're really kind of looking for that low volume
Mhm.
sweep of the lows, and that tends to be like the areas that we want to pick up, right, like where you want to actually start entering long, and at a glance, and I'm not saying it's not right. It looked like it was basically the exact opposite all week, right? Low volume extension higher. But what's
Yeah.
true for sure is that like low volume doesn't necessarily equate to low volatility. And I know like volume is probably like the biggest thing that everybody kind of monitors because that, is kind of like the rising tide that lifts all boats,
Right. Right.
typically speaking, right? But then, Sharky in our back channel, it's like never short a dull market,
Right.
right?
Right. Well,
And
that goes to that adage, and then and the
yeah,
thing about that is, my commentary, that I was going to say, and I guess it really is just another way of saying, kind of reinterpreting that adage is, sometimes, when it's not a lot of volume means there's not a lot of liquidity, so it doesn't take much for the market to drift
yeah,
in a certain direction whenever the algos pick whatever direction. So if it's bid up and there's not a lot of volume, it's not a lot of traffic, so it can just
yep.
easily just peel through, and then people are
Just
like,
like a
where's the
slow
short,
grind higher.
where's the short, there's no volume on this pump. Well, that doesn't always necessarily mean that that it's going, that there is a short there.
Yeah,
You have to
I think
formulate
we got one short, but it
yeah,
was
but it
very
was
short-lived
right.
short.
Yeah,
Like
no,
very
and
very short-lived short,
yeah,
and
and that was huge. What we saw last week, the sellers had an opportunity, and what we can go over this when we get in the charts. But the key takeaway was the sellers had an opportunity on the
I
gap
got it.
down to start something, and they
Yeah.
failed at that.
I think that's
And
probably honestly that's my biggest takeaway too, right?
right,
Like when
right,
we're on
that
with
that is it.
Wolfie too, is like what's true is that we saw a shift. If you guys been following along for a while, we used to sell every pop, right? And it was just this like constant grind lower, and then we got this pivot November ish. Well, then we got another pivot, right? And you start to see this kind of like attitude in the market, let's say, of like, you know, when the sellers, to your point, have the opportunity and the short does arrive, like here's the setup, here's the
Yeah,
trigger, it's now
yeah,
on,
yeah,
but it has
and then
no
they fumble
follow
the ball.
through. because it was on. It was
Oh,
it was the
there.
right level. It was the right spot. It was the right time. It was on,
Well, it was the
and they
wrong
didn't
time
show up.
because it was wrong time because we opened up there we opened up there
Yeah.
and you had to sell your short like
So fast.
right at the because the buyers came in and I said it. I was sitting there
Yeah.
on Spaces and I said, oh, I hate to say it, this is a freaking long here right at the
Yeah,
open.
yeah. I mean, and it was right. Like
Yeah,
I was actually very patient with my shorts too. So I mean, I did take most of it down, but not all of it by any means. And I rode it for a minute. I was like, you know what, this is just not happening, right?
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you got to be like, look, okay, the Bears had the opportunity. That was it. It was ready, and they just kept buying the dip. And there's just overall, it's just like we start to see this whole thing again, right? There, every dip gets bought, and we're still there. That nothing's changed, right? In terms of that,
Well, we
right?
had
So
a big question from a weekly perspective whether we were making a weekly, lower high versus, versus a,
Yeah.
or a weekly lower high, and they proved that it was the side of the bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, there is still some, a few little dark horses to look at, but not much. I mean, it's mostly pretty much the Bears have forfeit the game.
So far, the Bears, you know what? The Bears didn't even show up to play last Wednesday, right? They had the opportunity. I don't know where they were. They're on vacation, but that's what's true. It's not necessarily over yet, but we're really close to all-time highs. That's what I'll say, right? So anyways, here's my basic recap of the week, right? So it's a lot of Fed speak, right? We had some of that. I mean, that's basically over across the board, right? So Kashkari says rates on hold for an extended period. But Collins says progress will likely require slower economic growth. Jobless claims, by the way, came in with actually a pretty big surge. So the labor forecast kind of like there's a big uptick in jobless claims. University of Michigan consumer sentiment. This was Friday, fell to the lowest to a 6-month low, down 12.7%. That was a big one, right? Was that's kind of like the sentiment. She's like, wow, okay, it's that low. So these are the things that we want to just start to monitor, by the way. Just because something happened, look, these are backwards looking. So just like your indicators on your chart, you don't read them as like triggers to do anything, right? You kind of watch the trends, if you will. That's my take on it. 1-year inflation expectations jumps to 3.5 from 3.2. All of this stuff actually the data now points to, okay, there's your bull case, right? For a rate cut, right? Did we get a rate cut? No, we didn't, right? Do we expect a rate cut? Look, the market's now pretty much priced it out. Maybe 1 or 2, at most 2, but maybe 1 in September is what the market's pricing right now. Like rewind 3-6 months ago. I mean, totally different story. Here we are pricing that appropriately, I think. Actually getting an easing of quantitative tightening per the last FOMC meeting. And I think that's notable, right? And so, he's not going to cut rates, but he did ease QT. Easing, tightening. Easing, tightening. That's what we got. And actually,
that's
more so
to think about, right? You're like, wait, easing, tightening, wait.
Yeah, easing. Hey, look, that they started to ease on quantitative tightening. That's what happened, right? So other stuff, notable flags. Frankie's been all over this, right? Like CRE, consumer real estate, right? So Fed actually mentions that. Fed Logan says still too early to think about rate cuts. And again, Bowman sees Fed on hold for the whole year, right? And so this is now the market rhetoric. So I think at least we're kind of like at par, right? Like with most of it. And so I think we can start to lean on mostly technicals. Oops, that's supposed to be 22 week technicals and fundamentals, if that makes sense. So I think another trend in the market we've been seeing is we saw like Netflix, huge beat, big drawdown, and instantly reverse course. Not instantly, but like a week later starts to reverse course. And here we are back having reclaimed that 10% move, right? Meta, very similar, right? Huge dump, reverse course. And I think we're going to see a couple more. So I do want to put this on the radar. That anybody that's really like having good quarters, let's say, but having bad price action, a lot of that has been reversed. So there are a couple on watch. I have for me personally, some of the bigger ones would be like a Robinhood. I'll just put that out there right now.
You've been loving Hood.
I'm just gonna
Vlad
say,
was
dude,
probably
Hood was
going
probably like
crazy
the
today.
standout
GME.
report of the entire quarter this quarter for me.
Yeah, I know.
right?
I know.
Like, what
Yeah,
a
like,
massive,
like the best
what a
beat.
massive beat. And I'll say
guy.
this, right? Massive beat, but they caught the Wells notice. I think it was that day or the day right before, right? And so a lot of their beat did come from the crypto trading. And I just think that the market. So Hood never traded like a Coinbase or never traded with Bitcoin, which I always loved, right? Hood has this crypto trading thing.
Right.
And it was
But
more
it
like a
doesn't trade
free call option on the crypto trading, right? But if you pull that out, dude, they didn't even get to report any of the credit card stuff that wasn't included in this report, right? And it was still, look, the average balances are going up, the trading revenues. I loved it. I mean, I loved it, right? But beat and skeet. And I think we started to base out last Friday. I put in a note in our group, 1770 or 1670, 1650. Those would be like dip buys, but that's the level that we want to watch this defend. Huge move this morning, by the way. I think this gets to go back into the top picks for the year, man. So anyways, the year is halfway through, so call it the back half and probably the foreseeable future for me. But anyways, I love it. The whole huge beat was a lot of it through crypto trading revenues. And let's say the Wells notice basically takes that off the table. I still like the stock. That's where I'm at.
Still like it.
Speaking of liking stocks, dude, GameStop. What the hell? That thing's insane.
Know, right.
Yeah. So anyways, what I was on here, this is supposed to be
people are selling. You see Meta's down today. They're selling Meta for GM.
Yeah. Well, I think we can watch all of that, right? So I haven't looked at Netflix today because I was just kind of dealing with everything. Actually, Netflix is still holding. I think Meta to an important spot, pretty much there, but we'll see if she can hold that 20-day. It might not be horrible, actually. So this week we have Home Depot, Cisco, and Walmart. Home Depot's chart, by the way, looks amazing. But I couldn't take a long-term trade on it yet because it does have this earnings report. So after this earnings report, if Home Depot gets like dinked on this report, this is definitely one where I would say look for entry spots, regardless of what happens, because we're coming into the summer season. Summertime is like for Home Depot, that's their big season. We don't have it yet. They just got the spring
outdoor gardening.
Right? It's like retail's Black Friday, right? They're a summer type company, man. Cisco, Walmart this week as well. And again, here we are, right? So we did have the best quarter on record last quarter. This quarter is not going to be as good, so we did peak out there, but we'll see. It's still going to be pretty decent. In terms of the earnings hub, this is where I'm at right now.
Down. I think there's just a couple of names.
We're through the meat of earnings season, that's for sure, and we start to get into these more highly volatile, higher volatility type names. A lot of your smaller cap stuff. But yeah, nothing major notable other than maybe Cisco, Home Depot, Walmart. We'll see. I'm probably going to sell some premium Walmart. And I skipped over.
That makes sense because it never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
This has been a weird earnings. Tesla usually doesn't go anywhere, and this time
Tesla barely ever goes anywhere. Costco never goes anywhere. Those are ones.
But this time it ripped, and this time Apple ripped. So it's kind of a weird earnings.
Yeah, Apple had probably the biggest quarter they've had in a long time. Right?
It doesn't do what it doesn't do. Make a move like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, I sold premium on Apple, and I took a loss, but it was a super small loss, like 30%. It was like no big deal. And the Microsoft sold premium. Anyways,
Microsoft.
I didn't get to this here, but we do have some just notable things. So tomorrow we get PPI in the morning, right? That's going to be our first market mover of the week. So that's tomorrow morning, PPI, and then right after that we have a Powell speech. Just before the lunch hour, or just after the lunch hour. Wednesday we get CPI. That's going to be the biggest market moving.
For a second for why I was like, why does it say 7 a.m.? I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, sorry, it's Pacific. So 10 a.m. Pacific time. 10 a.m. Eastern. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. CPI Wednesday.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's
So
pretty
we
much
should
it.
talk about this a little bit.
Yeah,
CPI.
I mean, it's pretty much it for the week. What I'd say is like, look at the consensus numbers, right? And if we have something that's seriously far off a consensus, that's when we would expect some kind of market moving event. If it's at consensus, I don't think that they don't typically move the market. So those are things to actually watch for if you're looking at calendars, things like that. But again,
Well,
for the year over year.
well, I'm just wondering, do you think, I mean, I think we should just, what are your thoughts? You think it's going to be in line, a little hotter, colder?
I mean, so I look at stuff like this. So the last print for annual CPI headline or core 3.8, headline 3.5. And then I'll look into the monthly forecast, right? Whether or not it's higher or lower, I don't really know. But what I typically do is I look at this and I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these are 12 last months of these readings. We're going to lose a 0.4%, right? And if that comes off the average, then what that leaves us with is essentially this last 0.1, 0.2. So if we come in at 0.4, we're going to stay exactly where we are. But if we come in even a little bit lower, actually, that's probably going to move the needle on the headline number or the year over year number. So
Yeah,
if we do come in lower, I don't know if this is going to be good news or bad news, actually.
yeah. Well, I do think, I personally think that there is the opportunity to see this print possibly start to come down. We're seeing, and I like to look at the oil market a lot to kind of gauge. And we had that huge move in oil, but now it's broken back under a really critical level, starting to cool off. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, on what's going on. So that might be a clue. But we'll
I
see.
agree. So to me, I actually think the oil's in a bit of a trading range right now. Crude that is, right? So it couldn't, to your point, it couldn't really break over that $80 level. Kind of rejected that 200. This is
Well, that was what caused the
futures.
breakout before,
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
almost
So
like, I mean, now really, if you want to look at its back end or the reaccumulation zone. Really
bingo. So I think we got to give it a little bit to reaccumulate, right? And I think that's what we're probably looking at. But do I think it breaks down? No, I don't.
Well,
really.
no,
So,
and I'm not thinking about it necessarily from a trade, although this just happens to be a case that there is a trade here potentially.
yeah.
But I'm more looking at it just from the macro perspective and how, that oil translates all the way down the supply chain and eventually comes to us. So just seeing this move down after this run, kind of, gasoline's cooling down and stuff and all that, all those costs are coming down. So
You
maybe
fooled me, man, because I paid like $6 a gallon.
Well, you're in California. That's
Is it? Well, I mean, it didn't go down for me. That's all I know. I mean, and if it did, well, they didn't pass it through. That's for sure. But yeah, I think
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. It's one of the possible, canary in the coal mines that we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So that's on Wednesday. We get the actual crude oil status report, right? And you can kind of watch that. We got a handful of other Fed speeches. So like Kashkari, always pretty bearish. That's the kind of stuff. Like if he flips a little bit more dovish, I say hawkish, sorry, not bearish. If he flips a little bit more dovish in general, that's going to be definitely notable. So that's a person you do want to listen to, but expect some kind of like hawkish type commentary. And we're really just, the market's just going to be at a point now where they're going to be listening to people that were hawkish or dovish. And if they start to flip sides, that's what's important, right? And I think, crude, Sharky's right? This is a possible trade. For me, I'm an equities guy, so I don't know really on this. I have equity positions that I'm looking at. I think there are a lot of them that are.
Well, I'm sure USO's in the same place.
Yeah,
but, obviously it has that political backdrop, although I think things are thankfully.
Yeah, I was thinking more like XOM, right? So XOM is actually pretty decent, but it's in a consolidation range right now, right? So I think I took a trade on Exxon just the other day, right over 115. I think that's the bottom end of your range, but I think that she actually tends to chop here for a bit until these two SMAs get a little bit tighter. But yeah, that's my view, at least on Exxon. But this is one where if we do, I don't know if Sharky's thinking long or short. I have no idea. But what I would say is this is the long-term view of something like Exxon. So to me, this just kind of looks like gold back when, right? Like you're kind of like basing out breakout, come back, retest, and let's see what happens from here. Can you actually break out? TBD, right? But it's going to be a time will
A
tell.
big move if it does, because that's a
Yeah,
monthly.
it's not a small setup, and it's not a setup that I want to actually play very short term either, right? So that's more like build equity,
Monthly
that kind of
breakout,
stuff.
you gotta ride it.
Yeah. Feels like we're getting a little bit of a bounce right now, Sharky. But
Yeah, I'm trying.
yeah,
We're
so
just in a
this
range.
is
It's
yeah,
gonna be some boring price action ahead of.
I think that's what Miss Cleo said actually, but you know
Yeah,
what? I
I
think
think
I
it might be
hear
time, right?
I think I hear in the background. Let's see.
Enter
Is
into
that
where's
yeah. I think she's around. Let me see if she's around. We're back for your favorite portion of the segment today.
we have to make some commentary about last week, because last week was not.
I almost fired Miss Cleo last week, man.
They were off.
Uh,
We'll give credit, and said they did say it would be a difficult or a
She did.
slower.
You caught that actually.
The only,
I can pull it up. What did she say?
the
I
only
think it was this little line that she did say last Friday here. So I think mentioned that just because we may reverse direction here does not mean we turn a red day green. It means, or is this our cards? Here we go. It was this last little paragraph. Our cards are all silver for the week, which means there won't be a lot of variety or energy in the energy overall. It just feels like an ugly week to trade. So yeah, I mean that's where she got
that
it.
was true. It did drift up, but it was very slow, and it was just there was in SPY 25 million. I mean, and even today we're still pretty much low volume. I mean, a little bit more to be expected ahead of the catalyst.
Yeah.
But I think it was maybe even just seeing that that even a 2-week look ahead of CPI. But even today we're only at 15 million shares so far, and we're halfway through the day.
Yeah. So wow, 15 million. Yeah, I didn't even notice. I haven't really been able to trade.
Yeah, well, there it is.
But anyways, here's the reading for the week. Sharky, have you seen this yet? Or is this your first take?
I really didn't have a chance, because we were
I just looked at it. Looks like a lot of gold initially, so that's okay. Last time was a lot of silver.
This theme card is good.
The theme card looked happy to me, but it's the 10 of cups, so lots of cups. Actually, this is cups in the beginning and the end of the week. Theme card is the cups, and in the middle of the week, judgment, lovers, and the magician.
Wow.
So
a lot of power in there.
Yeah. A lot of those big cards, they have numbers. I don't know if they're it's a 10, 9, or 10, 6, and 1, the 8. But yeah, those what do you call Arcana cards? But anyways, let's see what she has to say. So here's the reading. I'll kind of chopped it up so we can kind of get it a little bit cleaner to read. So 10 of cups for the theme card. Last week gave us a 7. So now we go 7 to 10. Okay, which signals continuation towards the completion of an adventure. That would be upside adventure. And that's also what this card signals. So that's more confirmation that the move higher may finish this week. Finish this week. We'll see. So
we're only really a hop, skip, and a jump away from all-time highs.
I know. There are still some individual trades that look like Apple looks great to me right now. Microsoft looks like a decent dip buy off the open. And Google, I think we have that Google OpenAI the OpenAI announcement that might be coming out as we're doing this too right now. So you could keep those on watch. Usually a positive card, but also finishes flat. Okay. Just because we top or bottom out, this reminds me a bit of the crypto card signaling the rest of the week. I don't know crypto, so let's just go ahead and move forward. So Monday. Yeah, here's today. 4 of cups, feeling apathetic and bored with price action. Is that how you feel? That's kind of what the chart is.
Yeah, we had a CPI.
Aside from that morning move.
This is 15 million shares. 15 million shares, and on Q's 12 million.
Yeah, not much happening. Apple looks great though, right here, right now. Just gonna say it. Strong. There's a cup right in front of our face, but we're not interested. Yeah, Fair enough. Just like the Bears last week, right? It was right there, but they're still hibernating, man. They just weren't interested. Strangely enough, this card is usually positive, may not achieve the goals we wanted, but we have opportunities nonetheless. Yep, Apple. I'm not expecting a major move here. May just start strongly to regress near flat. Okay. Tuesday is Judgment Day.
Would have failed.
Sharky's doing something. Tuesday is Judgment Day. I don't really know what this means. Sharky might have a better take on the Judgment card. You reap what you sow. And this major arcana card wants to remind us that nothing comes without consequence. Ooh, that does not. It has a bearish tint. Yeah, it sounds kind of bearish, but only just. Okay. I think we make retrace turn around Tuesday, especially if Monday was positive. When negative Judgment takes us down 0.5% or thereabouts. So don't expect a big move lower if that's the direction we go. Okay. So dip buys maybe. God damn, Apple, look at that thing. Holy moly. If Monday was negative, then we may try to get back to flat. Otherwise, you know what to do. Reverse anything. Now see what that means. Wednesday is the Lovers. The Lovers are free from the devil and now distracted by love. They're distracted. Tendency to kill volatility and bring boring, uneventful day. Oh crap! Here we go.
Boy. Oh,
The weak theme, man. Slow grind chop. I will say, what is Apple doing? Dude, WWD is it W the
Would have failed.
developers conference coming. I don't have the date on that, but I know it's soon. That's all I know. It's coming. Tendency to kill volatility, bring an uneventful day. Interesting because today, Wednesday, is CPI day. Many are expecting a big move. Perhaps they choose to kill options here instead. Sell volatility. Usually continuous to the prior day, but with less energy. So don't be surprised if we chop around a bit. The single case was a positive 1% move, and it came after a negative day. So a rally is not out of the question. We just wouldn't expect. All I'll say is this: CPI and PPI typically come out very close together, like one right after the other.
right.
Usually it's PPI after CPI, not this month. But for me, PPI is a little bit more important in terms of a fundamental read, just because it's a little bit more leading. CPI is
Yeah, because it has to go down to the consumer from there.
Yeah, CPI to me is like it's totally past tense, but it's the market's favorite indicator in terms of where inflation is, right? It is a number.
Sure.
So, the market tends to move, but between the two, we often get a big move and then a reverse move. Or it's usually CPI has a big move, PPI tends to base and then starts a reverse. So we'll see how it goes this week. This makes sense actually with PPI going first to come down a little bit and then bounce and kind of like level out, right? So likely be one directional. So don't try to fade anything during the day. But yeah, after the CPI report comes out, I would expect that is whatever that trend is, probably the biggest pivot to me for the week at the whatever that lows or high is. Thursday, Magicians, nonstop major strength is Arcana.
Yeah,
I really still don't know what that word means, but this week this guy likes to set traps. Oh God, last week was trappy for sure. I hope this week is not as trappy, but that's what you get when you get these low volume type of moves in general, or just low volume, is you get trappy price action. There's choppy price action. And then I think there's a little nuance to choppy is something called trappy, where you actually start to break out a little bit and then reverse course right back into the chop. So be careful. Brings continuation more than mean reversion, but trendy. So watch for a trap, then trade momentum. If we avoid an early trap, then consider ourselves lucky. This is like sweep to lows or sweep to highs of liquidity, either way. And then Friday, 8 of Cups. Last Friday was an Ace of Cups, which can be treated like a 2. Why can an ace be treated like a 2, Sharky?
Do
you
I'm
know
not sure in this case.
I mean, I play poker. And an ace ain't no 2. Or even close to anyways. If anything is a 1.
Yeah.
Anyways, this could mean we see a repeat of last Friday's action, which is positive. However, this is a transition card and says that it's time to abandon our current path and try. Oh, good night. Friday's the pivot day. She's calling Friday as a big pivot day. That's what I'm reading right now. Transition card and says that it's time to abandon our current path and try another route. So maybe the Bears.
Well, I mean, it's possible we could just lock in a daily lower high or something.
Yeah. However, he has more negative finishes than positive, so that's a concern. Historically, he trades the opposite way of the prior day, so trade in the opposite direction of Thursday's action and look for a change. This is like setting up for a big giant chop fest. If we've been topping out, then this could bring us back to flat for the week. If we've been weak, then this is the day we finally find our legs. If we've been weak, then this is the day we finally find our legs. Okay. We also need to remember this card is for Monday. What?
Yeah.
Because the energy here usually should follow
For
through
next week,
because the
right,
energy here
for next
persists
week.
for a few days. Oh,
Yeah.
is that important of a card? What is this? 8 of Cups? Who'd have thought? So that's what she says. To recap everything she is saying, we have some big energy throughout the week that may keep us guessing, but there are chances for strength. It's OPEX week. That's Friday. OPEX Friday. So expect lots of chop and mean reversion. Dun, 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 dun. That's from Miss Cleo. She's calling OPEX, man. She's calling OPEX. You know what I'll say? I have one note is on this. I don't trade. I don't really care about OPEX or any of that kind of stuff. Let me get my stupid index chart out. But that said, there's something about this low volume type moves that does concern me. And I would say like this looks like we can grind it out. Here's my 30-minute price like chart, if you will. So big downtrend here, broke out, came back, retested. That's your long, higher low. You're good. So higher high, higher low, boom, boom, long. This kind of setup right now is like, hey, look, we can bounce. We're probably gonna have an inside like less than an average week's range based on what I see. But if this was just a daily chart, and the last 8 days, by the way, we're having like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive green days. I'm gonna take this off. I'm a stratter, if you guys know what that is. I'm just looking at this volume shelf. The setup, if Friday is a mean reversion day, the setup on this kind of stuff is for I don't know what the other systems call it. I think like ICT calls it like a silver bullet day. Stratters call it like pivot machine gun. But when you have this many gap up,
Pivot machine gun, what a name.
You haven't heard of that before?
No. No.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's not to say that it's going to happen, right? But this is a pivot machine gun. And it's a very normal thing, right? But it's essentially when you have these gap up days right into like that prior kind of all-time high like this.
Right.
And then you have this whoosh where they say pivot machine gun. It's like you have a lot of people with a lot of stops now that have been just riding the slow grind higher.
Right.
So
Right.
this slow grind higher. Tell me that's not exactly that. I didn't even notice that, but this is what this is. This is what happens. You get this set up for what some people would call a parabolic short, right? If the volume were to step back in, and it doesn't have to happen, but just know that this is one of those setups where you want to be aware that it could happen, right?
Yeah.
And it sets up like this slow grind higher on low volume. And eventually you get this weird trigger where all of these stops, if you will, you have a stop here, you have a stop here, you have a stop here. All these stops, you get this setup where like all of a sudden you get this one day that's like boof, right? Basically just like that, completing your which would actually be pretty bullish situation for that to happen. You would kind of clip.
No, it would be good. It would reset us, so then we can get, we can,
Yeah, it really would.
Yeah.
You would get this set up, and then people are like, oh, blah blah blah. So I think my point of saying this right here, right now, depending on who you are, right, depending on your trade style. If you're an investor, look, no need to worry. Don't worry. It's an uptrend right now, slowly. Even if this pulls back, you're probably not going to break this support, right? We've pretty much seen the lows here, but we might be looking at another dip buy. Oh, is that Frankie? Look at Frankie. Hello. And you know what it sets up is I think we still go higher, even if we get a big day like this. If we do get a big day like this, be ready for it as an investor, right? And have some dry powder available, because you never. I mean, how are you going to buy the dip if you don't have any cash, man? It's not like Sharky always says this. Things don't go straight up in a single line. Like, they don't go up or down in a straight line. It never happens. And so, like, be available to buy the dip. Just know we've rallied slowly back to a very difficult area. And you know, this is a potentiality of something that could happen, but it's a single day instance, 9 out of 10 times, that just bases the following day, and then you end up buying. So day trader, just know, hey, look, if you see what this setup looks like, this is a trappy setup. The setup looks like a breach of pre-market highs, opening range high, and then a fail of pre-market highs and opening range highs in the same day in the first 30 minutes, and then continuation or below pre-market low. Break those, it's a wrap. It's a full reversal as a day trader. That's what that looks like. So just know it's a setup that's out there. But in the meantime, as long as we're still trending on this low volume, expect to grind higher, because that's not going to happen on low volume, right? Not typically. So anyways, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, there's a couple of places though that definitely, can set us up for some nice dip buy.
Yeah, I mean, we're right there, like the spot.
But it's not here.
But it ain't here. To look for a dip buy, I think, is like that, just around that 510, right? This just right underneath 510. I think it's good. Up here is like, look, up here, I think this is why we see this low volume, is like, because the bulls know better, right? The bulls are smart right now. They don't want to get extra long as we're coming into a very big level of overhead resistance. And the bears don't want to jump in front of the bulls, because I mean, it could break out and continue to grind higher.
Well, they probably have been trying a little bit over this low grind on that thesis, and that's what has helped, drive us slowly up, because they just like throwing.
Yeah, for sure. So we're here, right? We're here. This is what I would call like a fair value gap, but it's been filled. We're right at that major peak level. So a breach, a breach of 524. Let's call this breaker structure, BOS breaker structure. Looks something like that. I'm going to take this off the screen. So breach looks like a little something like this. Dink. Probably first pullback, defend, push out, pop, boom, 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 is what that would look like. Right? Yeah. Legit. So it's just kind of like, if you guys are listening to me and we're trading our NFP levels, I like to wait for the breach first and then see us lock a lower high, and then pull back with momentum through that prior breach level, and that would be a reversal. But until then, look, we're going higher, right? So stay long, be long, until you see that. But my only point in doing all this is to say, be aware. Don't anticipate it's not happening, but just know this is what that setup's going to look like if it does come. And if it doesn't come, it's all good, right? It's all good. But don't be that guy that's over, or girl that's over leveraged long, and gets caught in a pullback only to eventually sell the bottom and look back a few days later and say, I should have held. That's what you don't want to be, right? So that's my point. But anyways, I think let me see. I'm just gonna go through these questions.
Well, we definitely had a similar type of situation on Friday from an intraday perspective on the Qs. On Friday, although we still did not chop around, but we had been trading in this 3-day or 4-day range, for a while.
We are.
And then what?
Yeah, we are.
We
Yeah.
had been, and then we broke up above on Friday, and then
Mhm.
we failed back into the range. And it's been interesting because we actually have a divergence in SPY and QQQ right now. SPY and SPX has broken out of that range from
Yes.
last week, but Q's, well, it didn't, but now it is back above that range.
Right.
So the tech is catching up now. It is above. I think that was the seventh. Yeah, the seventh and the eighth high. So it is trading above that now on QQQ, or at least I can say it is for NQ.
Yeah.
It probably is pretty much the same. So that divergence is gone, but it is something to note. And if we, you can mark out that level from last week, and if we see it again, it's a very similar type of setup. We might see it again with that look above and fail, like Paper was saying earlier.
Trappy. It's just a trappy
So,
setup.
well, we
right?
don't know. Well, we don't know, and then we don't try to predict it. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it
Yeah, agreed. I was just, my biggest point was like, look, don't be the guy that is over leveraged in this moment, right? This is not, and I think that's what we're seeing in the volume. So, being over leveraged right into a price of like major contention, usually not the best recipe. Because you'll probably get a pullback and then you'll sell the lows and you'll look back and be like, I should have held. And you probably should have, right? But you didn't have any more, you didn't have any ammo to take the shot at the lows.
I
So
will
you just
say
give up.
there is definitely you tease me. I still look at VVIX. One of the things I look at.
I thought it was going to be listed.
It's down in a very, very interesting spot. I'm also looking, another thing I am looking at, just things that I like to keep canary in the coal mine possibilities. I'm seeing a little bit of divergence. You teased me for it too, and I was looking at HYG, the good old junk bonds. They're not they're going down, and SPY's going up. So when I see divergences like that, I do want to take note. And I also, seeing VVIX down in the areas that that it is right now currently.
I mean, HYGA is not that bad. I'm just looking at it. I'm pulling it up right now. This is not bad. I mean, I'll look at it a weekly. So they came back down and they bounced back up. Still holding.
It's not, but it should be in sync. It should be making a high. Hence, SPY just made a high.
Maybe it will.
Well, it didn't right now.
Maybe this weekly is saying like it's a pullback right into support, and that's a long. I don't know.
What's that red one? Is that your 200?
Yeah. This is a weekly interval chart, but these are still daily moving averages. So
they don't change to your time frame?
No. Oh. We went over this with you, like, well, you've been. They're always locked. They're always locked on the.
Normally, they change to whatever time frame you're on.
No. So I open the setting time frame. Okay. I lock it on the day.
Oh,
no matter what.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Because I want to see it, right? If I'm looking at a 30-minute chart, I'm looking at a 6-minute
but
chart.
When you want to know the weekly EMAs too?
No. Okay. No, not really. I do have. There's one that's probably really far out on this. Is a 200 week simple moving average, but I have it as a whole nother line. Yeah, it's this purple line. This I have set weekly, 200 week SMA.
Interesting. Cool.
Anyways, that's just me.
But yeah, no. So those are a couple of things though that I am watching. When market gets down into these areas, can definitely be a little bit of a level of complacency. So I just want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like you said, the market is just going to be grinding up.
So far, yeah. Warzone, by the way, you can go. It's on YouTube, so it's Paper Gains INC on YouTube, or we post it and pin it on our timelines, or on my timeline for sure.
Yeah.
A couple of trades that they're asking for. I think I saw something about Disney, unless it got deleted. Talk about Disney. Right, so from Kenny.
Right, Paper, but if you're going to go over your trades, that'll be my.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna go through some requests.
I'll let you do that. Yeah, man. But have a great. I'm gonna get back into the trenches. Have a great.
I'll see you out there.
Yeah, and great speaking with you. Great prep. And have a great rest of your day.
For sure. All right, man. So I'm gonna do this really quick. So this is Disney, and I think this is a setup that you can watch, and I think this is important to know. First of all, Disney ain't going nowhere. Clearly it's like that's insanely tight range. I think if you think of trappy is probably like the number one word for this setup, right? But here's how this works. When you see a big earnings gap like this, right, you got to give it multiple days, if not weeks. And I'm dead serious, weeks to breathe, right? Let's look at Netflix just for a second, right? And, if you jumped in the first train here, you got slaughtered, right? So don't be in a rush when it comes to these things. And I'll just from the earnings, right, report before it really started to break out. This is 2 weeks. So Disney, you're early. It's not time, right? You're like 4 days. It's not this week, in my opinion. And it's probably not next week. It's probably the week after. But how this works here is that you want to basically set some main pivots on something like a Disney, and you just put a line, and then you're going to just set an alert, right? So this first line is really, it's like this first day post earnings right here. This is the top end of the range. We don't want to see you need to see like a full day or two close the entire day above this 106.19. Until that happens, not happening, right? So a breach doesn't count. Just because it trades there for a little bit, it's not enough, right? You need multiple days closing above or below. And then this one here to the low end, 104.22. So right now, this is the box that Disney is stuck in, right? It's currently towards the highs of the box. Is $2 enough for you to trade? That's up to you. In the interim, when you do get this break, you have another pivot, and you want to kind of look right into this middle. That's 110, right? So if you do get that, day or two full close above or below or above that 106 and change level, you will see 110 very likely quickly, and then stop. And then it's not going to be until she's over this level 111 and change to actually start reclaiming the rest of this. I just grabbed these levels, but you can take a quick fib. I'm going to see some confluence, I'm sure, right here. Yep, there it is. So 111 is 111.50 is going to be a 50% retrace. So, but it's not until really you're getting, I would now move this over to this pivot 107. Now I would say not unless we're over 107 on a daily close do you think that it goes to 111. And that's more like an overnight trade because this is going to be multi-weeks out. You're just too early on Disney. And you're going to get that quick bounce, and you're going to get basically 4 or 5 days of retracing that bounce base. Then it locks in a higher low. Then you go, right? So on Disney, that's going to look something like this, right? Maybe grind, boom, right? Then bull back like this. And then you go. But that's how that's going to play out. That's how they usually play out. Something similar to that. ANF. Okay. So I'm going to take a look at gold GLD. So GLD actually had a little bit of a gap fill today. I still think this is good. Sitting on a 20-day simple moving average. Gap fill to the downside. Holding. It's about a 50% retrace. We're right back into this consolidation level right here. I like gold. To me, what I look at gold, when I look at gold, I want to look at something called GVZ, or that's the gold volatility index. Currently bouncing off. This is like the VIX, but for gold specifically, for GLD specifically. I think this is an uptrend, and you should probably continue to buy it. But that said, a better pullback would be ideal. I would just wait for this one. So she's probably going to base out, and then it'll probably be like a late week, maybe next week type rally. But I like gold. Definitely like gold. It's more of like buy the dip type of situation, around 215 on GLD. 215 GLD I like. ANF. Okay, so ANF's gonna have earnings sooner than later. We're right back to the scene of the crime here. So locking in a second lower high today, right back to filling this volume shelf. I am looking at ANF for a second short. But it doesn't, I'm not going to jump in front of this if it's still going. I know the CEO sold like 40% of their shares. I have no idea what that means necessarily. It could mean a lot of things. Sometimes CEOs sell their shares just because they know that they're getting granted that same amount, maybe more, very soon. So we're just going to let this price action tell me. Right now, it's telling me that it's kind of topping out, but it's possible to break out. It's kind of like SPY. It's like there's potentially a trade coming, but I don't want to anticipate it just yet. But no, I don't see it. I don't see it going higher unless we're over like 140s. But this is just massive consolidation. So either it's dip buys or short a big pop, and I don't see a big pop yet. Look at this Q's pullback. Holy camoli. God, you guys are really Fastly. What do you like about Fastly? So I love the company. It's FSLY. Fastly. Good God. What did they do to Fastly? That's ridiculous. That's insane. I don't know how you don't buy that, man. I don't know how you don't buy that. That's crazy. It's probably on valuation. I think this price action says, yeah, go for it. But it's the same thing, right? We are a week after, but look at this. It's the same setup. She's not going anywhere yet. So we could do the same thing we did with Disney, and you want to do this exactly this, right? And you got to be very, very patient on something like Fastly. Look, I'll just say to keep it clean and simple, 950. She's over 950, have at it, right? But until then, just either put her in the investment bucket and look up what's the word? Valuations. Dude, what's going on with the market right now, you guys? This is trappy as hell. Look up valuations. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. We're at a very, very, very hard level. Yeah, if you're on a very short-term view. Look, I had another screen. It's like a 2-minute view. If you're looking, you're like, wow, that looks ugly. But at the end of the day, it's like, what do you expect? Look, this is one of those weird situations. We're going to fill this gap. Might extend 418.24 SPY. I don't think this is it. Is the volume showing up? I don't think you can chase that. Holy camoli. Did we just do? No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Apple, I think, is one that you definitely want to keep on watch. So Apple holding this 200-day. She can pull back. I think if you're not paying attention to Apple, you're doing yourself a disservice right now. Just gonna say. She clearly based out, now looking to go higher into WWDC. SMCI. I mean, Sid is cracking me up. You're liking all these crazy ones, man. I don't know that SMCI breaks down like brutally, but here's your near term short targets have to be 728 because they've pulled up. That's where the buyers are showing up, right? 728. So if you're looking to buy this dip, it's this level, right? 728, 728, 728 all the time. If you breach these lows, call it like a 700 low. It's this. It's this shelf way over here. That's your key pivot. It's this 670 shelf. So it's this shelf. For now, you're not over the 20-day. You have to be over the 20-day. You can't get over the 20-day. You ain't going higher. Definitively. If she pulls back and she makes another higher low, so this is higher low, higher low, higher low. So a higher low here would be basically where we were this morning. For the week, if she's holding over 760, okay, you can be bullish. But below that, look for that 690 type of target. If she breaches 690, there's going to be a lot of blood in the streets for SMCI, and it's going to test this 200. But in the meantime, it's this gray line. It's this 220-day simple moving average. If she can reclaim this at any time, then sure. You can see these big, quick volume moves downside and then quickly reclaim. Those are the setups that you would have to see. This is not a this week setup by any means. We can just look at SPY. So SPY is exactly the same thing. You can look at Qs, you can look at SPY. SMCI looks like SPY here. Then you get this big push down. You have that cross 20-day, 50-day cross like this. You get this play forward and you get this bounce, you get this retest, and eventually, if you can reclaim it, then you can be off to the races. But it's not until you do this, right? Because otherwise, what does this look like? Otherwise, oh God, this looks like this kind of battle and eventually a breakdown, which was Tesla's breakdown at 235. And you get this slow trend higher or lower, slow grind lower. So you got to be careful. NVIDIA. Oh, yeah. NVIDIA's one look. She reclined. I don't think that NVIDIA goes anywhere, to be honest. I think she goes sideways till she reports, but she's gonna be a big report mover. She might get some anticipation moves. Oh my God, what's happening in the market right now, you guys? Oh no. I need to be in this. That's hilarious. Oh well. Hopefully Sharky caught that. We're just talking about this move. And if this is a trappy week, by the way, just know that this is where you could get caught, right? We have gap rules, by the way. So here's a gap to this kind of like pre-market high. You never breach the pre-market high. You're at you basically filled the gap. The gap is up, by the way, session gap. So 441, but I don't know that you can press this. You might get another whoosh down. 441. It's not until Qs are below the gap that you think it's really going to continue. This is going to be the same on SPY. Yeah, SPY's at the gap, right? So that's, if you don't know about gaps and how to trade a system around gaps, well, we'll open up pretty soon for you guys and you can learn it. But session gap here, yeah, no, not happening. It could be sideways for the rest of the day, right into this area. But yeah, as long as you're holding that session gap 520, 519, 89, you're not going lower. Crazy, right? So we can look at shop and then we'll call it. So Shopify, same thing. So this is going to be weak. So I bought a little bit of shop, just a teeny tiny bit. She's getting extension. So extension downside right now here, right? And so we're probably going to fill this last earnings leg, probably down to that 50s level, high 50s, mid to high 50s, somewhere in here where this last consolidation was. So I'll buy it again down here. Hopefully we don't see low, like high 40s, but she's not going higher right now. That's where she would go. I would see filling at least to 51 on this one. Here's an extension downside, but you see how different this is, right? Because sideways, like that Disney, Netflix, you're never extending lower. Shopify, this is a clean extension. This extension or reversal happens now when you can reclaim 61, right? So shop is over 61. Okay, boom, we're going upside, right? Then you look at like 65, 68 calls. But until then, wait till she gets to 51 or short tills to 51. That's how I see that one. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. What reversal intraday. Yeah, watch this dollar too. Keep this one on your radar. She likes to move the markets quite a bit. We got PPI tomorrow. We got CPI Wednesday. Probably a lot of anticipation. Little mean reversion Tuesday. Turnaround Tuesday. We'll see. To me, I like Apple upside. Actually, Tesla, man, is probably a new short, but we'll see how much short is left on this. Yeah. And Hood. Oh, Hood is a reversal for me right now. So we got, big move on earnings and then pulled back down. This 1630 level, by the way, if I look on an hour, here's the same thing, right? Here's the level where people have been getting long building positions. They did it again Friday. See if she can hold. As long as Hood can hold this level, the 1625 level, I like her. If she breaks that, all right, we got a big $2 kind of like whoosh to sweep that liquidity. But right now, look, I said don't push that short. We're already bouncing. I'm telling you, man, trappy price action, guys. crazy out there. But that's it for me. I'll see you out there. Appreciate everybody for showing up. Check you on the next one.